All right, good morning, everyone. I work in sales. I'm insecure. I need feedback. All right, yeah, so as Todd said, we're going to give an update on the All-In. I have a whole bunch to cover. I appreciate your patience. Give me a few minutes. As we go through this, a couple things I want to point out. First, why do we do this? Why do we give this update? If I'm being transparent, I've had a lot of folks say, why do you guys keep talking about it? I get it. I prayed, I obeyed, move on, okay? But if I'm being real here, I was thinking about it. In our Thursday night small group this last week, we were talking about new Christians. And a lot of times as Christians, we here's our view, right? We assume everybody has the same view we do. And we treat them as if they should be where we're at. And the reality is they're not. And I think it's, as I was looking at this yesterday, it's kind of the same way here. There are a lot of people who have no idea what All-In really is. I mean, I would go on a limb and I would guarantee you that even right now, either here or online, somebody's going, what are they talking about? So if you think about that, some people weren't here last year at the recommitment. They weren't here 2 years ago when we kicked this off. They weren't here when we bought that land. They weren't here when we had the build the house concept. So we just have to always bring people in, explain where we're at, just give an update and give an opportunity. So I'm gonna give you an update. I'll talk about the goals we've had, where we are with those goals, what our takeaways are from those goals, and what we can do, and our next steps. So with that, they gave me some slide material. There it is, all in. By the way, again, I make comments about every single thing, so hang in there. Okay, so here we go. If we could change the slide. So, and I've got a lot of notes, stuff to go through. Let's look at our all-in giving totals, okay? So I went back 5 years, thank you. I went back 5 years just to kind of give an idea, okay? If you look at 2015, this is our total giving as a church. We were at 992,000. 2016, about the same. In fact, if you go back about 10 years, it was pretty flat up to that point, okay? We hovered about the same number. Well, then we started talking about, hey, you know what? Middle of the North's great, but maybe we should actually have a building, right? So we had this Build the House project. And 2017 was a great year because we kind of kicked it off and we had a few large gifts come in. So we went to $1.7 million. Best year yet by far. Well, then we said, hey, you know what? Now we're all in. So in 2018, we said, hey, we bought this amazing piece of land. By the way, if you saw the World Herald article 2 weeks ago, that's the spot in the city for development. And they referenced, there's a non-denominational church, Love Church, that's right there. So if you're there getting your drink on Saturday night, you're like, maybe I should come back to church tomorrow morning. So it's the spot. So we said, hey, we're gonna do the all-in. So we kicked off the all-in. We did the advanced commitment night in October of 18. And in 18, we came in at 1.4 million. Well, by 19, we're full speed. Yeah. We're at $2 million. And in 20, this is projection based on where I think we're gonna come in based on monthly trends, because shocking, not every month is the same, but after about 12 years, you can kind of get a barometer of what's going on where. I think we'll come in about 2.2 million. If you look at that, in 2019, 18 was an amazing year, right? 17 is kind of outlier, some large gifts. In 18, we were 19, we're 142% of where we were in 18. Wow. In 20, we went up another 14%. If you compare that to 15, 16, 14, 13, 12, 11, it's amazing. So those numbers are really good. So celebrate that, okay? So that's a good thing. Because we have had more people in the church, but we haven't grown attendance-wise by 231% in those couple of years. But we grew by giving. So that's important because it shows what we can do when we have some focus and some commitment, and we say, hey, we got a goal, we're gonna go there. So, next slide. So here's our goals. Our number one goal was 100% engagement. Everybody remember that, right? 100% engagement. Okay, what does that mean? That means, hey, you know what? Pray about it. What is God calling me into in this time? Financially, time, service. What am I being called to do? And just obey on it. That was our goal, 100% engagement. If you call this your church, if you say, this is where I'm gonna be fed, this is where I send my kids to youth, this is where I show up on Sundays with my family, this is where I'm part of a small group, hop in some fashion. So with that, We have 291 commitments right now. Now, the original 2018 commitment, we had like 220, 221, whatever it takes. All right, you missed that one, Jeff. But now we're like 291, okay? So that's a great number, but there's more people here, right, than that. That's fine. Here's what I'm excited about. In 2018, we had 152 people and families, right, a giving unit, who gave to this church for the very first time. In 2019, you had 93, and this year, so far, we're at 103. We're probably coming around 150. Wow. First time givers ever. So that to me, if you say, hey, what's 100% engagement? That is a really good barometer right there of what 100% engagement looks like. Our secondary goal was 5.2 million. Now, if you remember on the all-in, that was our final release, and we had all these cute kids up here, 5.2 million. Well, then on our recommitment, because we had a really strong showing early on, we did a recommitment and we moved our goal to $6 million, okay? If you look through July of 2020, we're at 3.8 total, and if I project it out, we're gonna come at like 4.5 million. 86%, 86.5% of the original goal. Okay. And all the faces got long. Okay, let's be realistic, okay? We're not at our number, okay? I'm not panicked. This is not a panicked look, okay? This is if Brett Elliott panics, this is his look, because he never changes his demeanor no matter what, okay? I'm not panicked. But the question is, and I bring this up because a lot of folks say, where are we at and why are we there? Why are we at this number? There's a whole bunch of reasons. We can say, hey, there was a pandemic, middle of North shut down, we didn't have boxes in the back, we had to go online, we had this, we had that. The bottom line number is this. Our giving just has gone down from the commitments that were made. It just is, okay? We have a lot of first-time givers, and that's amazing. We're 80% through the initiative in terms of time, okay? So 80% through the time, and if you look at the amount of the commitment cards that have come in, we're at 65%. There's no condemnation there. I mean, if I'm gonna be transparent, there's a lot of situations people are going through that are really tough. And in my role, a lot of people share things with me and talk to me, and I've fielded phone calls from people who in this time, who are really struggling. I've had people who come to this church for a long, long time call me crying, saying, hey, I really am sad I can't make my number. I'm sorry. I'm like, don't be sorry. How can we help you? What can we be doing for you? How can we pray for you, okay? So I'm just sharing that because the reality is that's where we are right now, okay? I'm not panicking. I mean, we're a little low, but you know what? I know this, if we stay the course, 4.5 is a great number, but I still think we can do better, and I think we will do better. But in the spirit of transparency, we always want to show you exactly where we are in terms of the giving. Yeah. So, next slide, let's talk about the takeaways. Listen, as we get close to the finish line, there's a lot to celebrate, okay? Again, 2015 to 20, we saw an increase of 231% in the amount of giving. We saw 348 first-time givers in 30 months. I mean, think about that. That's like every month, 10 brand new people or families give for the first time. That's a huge thing. And 44 folks, 17%, fulfilled their commitments already. I mean, in this season, that's a victory, if you ask me, to be that quick on the draw. So, next slide. So, transparency, we always want to be transparent and tell you where we are. That's why we're doing this. But we do have a gap. You see it. But we're still going to build a church, okay? I mean, Family Fare does not need an $11 million addition, okay? We're building a church, and we've got a gap. Our amazing partners at American National Bank are working with us, okay? We never said if we didn't hit, $6 million that they're not gonna let us in the building, okay? We're gonna get in the building, but we would like to have more capital when we get in the building to kind of help debt service and things like that. And Brett's all upset. He wants furniture in the building, so we're trying to find table money. I think I'm joking. That's another conversation. No, we're still building a church, okay? So we need to just finish strong because we're gonna get in that church. What can each of us do? We can pray. Now, Whenever anybody says that, I always like that, when they're gonna ask you for money, right? I'm gonna ask for money, but more importantly, I need prayer. And my checkbook, okay? No, realistically, we sincerely need prayer. I would encourage you, please, to pray for this project. Pray for those of us who are on this team, because we've never built a church before, and we're working with bankers and MCL and neighbors and all kinds of people in this project. So pray that we would have wisdom. Pray for those workers on that building. I drive by that all the time, and it struck me the other day. I saw these guys outside working, and I'm like, I wonder if any of them go to church. And I gotta believe at some point, one of them is gonna go, you know what, when this thing's done, I'm gonna come back and check it out. So pray for those workers, pray for that neighborhood. They've got a big building that just showed up. And I believe most of them are gonna be happy it's a church, but some of them might not. So pray that their hearts be open, that they would show up and see what's happening. Practically, I would just pray, say, hey, you know what? Where am I in this season? Okay. Maybe I haven't been part of this. Maybe I've been here 3 weeks or 3 months or 3 years, and I just haven't really thought about All In. Maybe pray about that if this is the season for you to kind of jump in and participate. Maybe you are part of All In, and you're like, you know what? I committed to it. Just pray about that. Say, hey, how do I want to finish? What do I want that to look like? Never pressure in that regard, but we just simply want to share, okay? We're not that far away from our goal. We're really not. I mean, it's, as we get closer, we see the giving start to ramp up towards the end of the year, so I think we could have a really strong finish. And then, by the way, the numbers I give you are not anybody else's numbers, like Brett or Todd. These are my numbers, and I'm like, they always give me grief being the really conservative guy, so I'm really conservative. So when I share the numbers, those are really conservative. So I want to show up in a couple months and go, I was wrong, yay. My wife's right, I've been wrong all these years. See, she's in the other room, so I can say it because she can't throw anything at me. Okay, so next slide. So what's next? We're gonna do the mailing update, where we send out the mailer and just say, hey, here's where we are with the project, and here's where we are with you individually. You committed to this, here's where you are. That is never an attempt to go, kind of slacking. No, that's not it. The reality is, shocker, we make mistakes, and every time we do that, whether it's the updates or the annual statements, I get a lot of phone calls and emails going, you messed it up? I'm like, oh, thanks, so we can make some changes because we just messed it up, right? I'm not a professional accountant, I know. So we're gonna mail that out. We're gonna finish strong. Again, I want you to pray about that, where you are with that, and just think, okay, what can I do to make sure we're finishing strong? Possible considerations as we finish strong. Now, these two may not apply to some of the folks in the room. That's okay, just check out for a second, because you already did. Stocks, okay? Maybe you've got this amazing TD Ameritrade account, and TD Ameritrade is doing all kinds of great things for you. And even though the world got crazy, the stock market came back up, and you're like, you know what? I've got all this money, and I don't want to have realized gains. What do I do? If you're having that conversation, please come talk to me, okay? Because we do have some folks in the church who are very generous with stock donations. It's a way of taking advantage of some tax situations right now and some gains in the market. So keep that in the back of your mind. The other one is the CARES Act. Anybody familiar with the CARES Act? Yeah, everyone's like, what, the stimulus checks? You know what I'm talking about now? Okay. I like how they call it the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act. It's like they made that name and went, oh my gosh, it's an acronym for CARES. Hey, we gotta show people we care. Let's find out something that fits the words. So no, the CARES Act, to go to the next slide. Again, this may not apply to a lot of people. Besides just being a way to kind of help us get through this crazy pandemic situation, one of the caveats of this program had to do with giving. Right. So in 2020 and 2020 only, again, this may not apply to most people. Please talk to an outside accountant or attorney, that's my disclaimer, or ask me a question afterwards, because we have some pieces on that. So typically you can only give up to a certain percentage of adjusted gross income, up to 20% of cash and goods, and another 30%, so a total of up to 50% of your adjusted gross income for cash. What they're saying is in 2020 only, you can match up to 100% of adjusted gross income. Everything you give will go up to that number for full deduction, okay? That there's a whole lot more details that go into that, but what the takeaway is this: if you wait till January, it's different than it is in December. So if you were ever going, and we don't give for tax benefits, right? I hope so. Anyway, no, but hey, if you're gonna give, take advantage of the deduction when you can, right? So if you have any questions about the CARES Act, please feel free to talk to me about that. So the last slide, listen, again, if you think about the Omaha World Herald and what was out there, we're in an amazing spot. That's gonna be an amazing location. If you saw the previous slides, you saw some people, you saw Pastor Ben, right? Y'all saw that, right? Why do he wear that? I don't know, he likes bow ties. But here's the building. If you haven't been by this building, oh my gosh. Yes. I am the complete naysayer of our group. And I've always been like, why do we buy that land? How much did it cost? How big is this building? How much is it gonna cost? Do we really need concrete? Can we put gravel? I went to this place a month ago and I stand corrected, right? I'm like, golly. There are a lot of amazing churches in this city and they look really, really good. I don't know if there's gonna be one that looks better than this one. I really, really don't. I would encourage you, drive by it, go see it. It's gonna be our church in just a couple months. Apparently the youth, I won't be there for the first time. Whatever. But no, this church is gonna be unbelievable. As I close, I would just encourage you, just pray about where you're at. Continue to pray for us as a group. We're gonna stay the course. Go by and check this building out. This building is going to be amazing and it's gonna do amazing things in this city for God's glory. Amen? Thank you.